Triumph's recently announced that they've sold over 50,000 of their new 400 platform motorcycles. That's the Speed 400 and the Scrambler 400s. And this is a really big deal. Triumph's never had an honest-to-God beginner bike, and they kind of knocked it out of the park with this new 400 series bike. It's been selling well in India, in America, in the UK, all over Europe, and even in South America. These motorcycles are super popular. So let's discuss why this is a big deal and why we're starting to see the winds change a little bit in the motorcycling market, and why I think the Triumph 400 is the canary in the coal mine. Let's get into it. So historically, we've seen motorcycle manufacturers push for more and more features. You see bikes coming out with more TC, more ride modes, more electronics, and just bigger and better and more superfluous in every single way. And this is happening in every segment, from sport bikes to ADVs to nakeds and even cruisers to an extent. And one could say that this is marginalizing potential buyers who aren't really looking for a motorcycle to make the absolute most power, have the absolute most tech features. A lot of modern riders are actually more sensible than you might think. We here on Noob think that all beginners are going out there and buying Turbo Hayabusa and eating themselves into the sun, but most people are actually more risk averse now than they've ever been before. Personally, I blame that to the lack of lead in our paint and our gasoline. It's making people a little bit more wise. Beginner bikes have been creeping up in displacement for the last 20 years. 250s became 300s, 300s became 400s, and now we have the new 500 class, which we used to have 20 years ago, so we're kind of back to square one in a way. On top of that, beginner bikes have become jam-packed full of superfluous features like TFT displays, traction control, smartphone connectivity, and even rider aids. And some of these additions can start to really increase the price on these beginner bikes too. And these higher price points are deterring some riders. Look, I don't need to tell you guys that wages have been stagnating, the price of everything has been skyrocketing the past couple of years, and most beginner riders aren't really in the position to drop $8,000, $9,000, or even $10,000 on a brand new motorcycle. Especially when you consider that for most people, a motorcycle is a bit of a toy. Most new riders are sensible enough to start on a small displacement machine, and for a lot of guys and gals, they don't want to start off on something used. They want the peace of mind that comes with owning a brand new motorcycle. But you might have some sticker shock when you go to the dealership to price out a Ninja 500 and see that it's going to cost probably $8,500 out the door. That's why for 2024, when Triumph launched the Speed 400 platform, it really was a game changer. And Triumph defied two critical industry conventions with these motorcycles. Typically, premium brands like Ducati or Harley-Davidson or BMW have avoided the beginner bike category in fears of devaluing their brand. These brands are supposed to be at the top of their respective categories, and they didn't really want to play in the lower end of the market. But Triumph's already begun experimenting with running more entry-level or intermediate-level motorcycles for quite some time now, and in my opinion, this really started with the Trident 660 platform, a sub $10,000 intermediate middleweight motorcycle that was designed to get people in the fold, but it's really not a beginner motorcycle. We always classified it as that beginner plus bike, maybe a more mature rider, someone who's 25 or 26 years old, maybe they've ridden dirt bikes in the past. It's got 80 horsepower and 3 cylinders. To me, not really a beginner bike, and the price a little bit too spicy. They cross-platform that 660 into the Daytona 660 and the Tiger 660 offerings as well. And that's why they took it one step further with these new 400 category motorcycles. Not only did they take a massive swing at the Big Four and the Indian manufacturers such as KTM and Royal Enfield, but they also did it in a really unique way by providing a very handsome, attractive motorcycle that is not weighed down with unnecessary farkles or features. And to round it all off, at a ridiculously competitive price of under $5,000 in 2024. So how do they do this? Well, Triumph inked a partnership with Bajaj Auto, and those are the guys who are currently helping KTM make the Husqvarna 401 platform and Duke 390 platform motorcycles. They've been at it for a long time. That's why I said the Indian manufacturers like KTM. But the Speed 400 is a brand new machine. We're not taking some Bajaj and just reskinning it as a Triumph. Triumph actually had Bajaj build this motorcycle up to the Triumph standards. So that's why it kind of mimics the kind of Bonneville 900 and 1200 look and feel. which is really impressive at this price point. It uses a liquid-cooled 398cc single-cylinder engine with dual overhead cams making about 40 horsepower and 28 foot-pounds of torque. It has a neutral riding position, upside-down forks, and really timeless Triumph looks that pretty much anyone could be happy with. It's a very handsome little motorcycle. The Scrambler X shares many of the similarities, but it is bespoke in its own way. It's a little bit bigger, has knobblier tires, and is a little bit more off-road oriented. But again, the real kicker is the price here. At $49.95 for this motorcycle, it undercuts virtually all of the competition. It's cheaper than a Z400, a Duke 390, and it's only a little bit more than some of the air-cooled Royal Enfield models. The Scrambler 400X, for example, is $5,600, making it only $500 more than the Royal Enfield Scram 411, while making almost double the horsepower, being liquid-cooled and way more modern. Now, of course, Royal Enfield did release their new Gorilla 450 platform, and I think that's going to compete very well with the Triumphs, but as of right now, the Triumph is kind of killing it. And spoiler alert, in a couple of days, you guys are going to see my detailed ride and impression of the Speed 400. I have had a lot of fun with this motorcycle, and it has truly blown me away. It really doesn't feel like a cheap, chintzy, or knockoff version of a motorcycle. It somehow ends up feeling like an actual Triumph product. What has 3 cylinders, an Öhlins rear shock, and enough torque to rotate the earth beneath you? Why, it's the MT-09 SP giveaway bike on YamiNoob.co, of course. We finally have one of these as a giveaway, and you're not going to want to miss it. Head over to the website and get 10x entries for every dollar you spend. We've got hats, t-shirts, keychains, but best of all, I recommend becoming a member to join our community and get automatic entries to win. You can stack them up and apply them to giveaways, and they never expire. We have some amazing bikes coming up that you're not going to want to miss. 3-day giveaways, top shelf leader bikes, and much more to round out this year. So head over to YamiNoob.co and get 10x entries to win the MT-09 SP giveaway. Now, truly, folks, the numbers don't lie. The fact that Triumph has sold 50,000 of these motorcycles since its inception is a massive success. Consider the fact that Ducati sells a little over 50,000 motorcycles in a year out of their entire model range. Triumph even discounted these a little bit further for their 1-year anniversary in India as well. And one of the key reasons these motorcycles are so successful is they have a double allure across the global market. Here in America, it's an incredibly approachable, entry-level, awesome, great-looking little bike that anyone can get started with motorcycling. Kind of like a Duke 390, a Z400, that sort of machine. It slots perfectly for an A2 compliant license market like Europe. You know, you could easily see an A2 level rider getting a Speed 400 and getting up to snuff with it. And in India, it represents a bit of an up-spec market over the 125 or 200cc machines that dominate that market. It's seen as a premium offering that has the Triumph fit and finish and looks pretty damn good doing it too. Combine the fact that these motorcycles are comfortable enough and modular enough to fit a variety of road conditions. I mean, famously on Revzilla, Zach and Spurgeon actually rode these motorcycles all the way to the highest roads in India, and that really goes to show you that these motorcycles are pretty darn capable in a lot of different capacities. You can commute with them, you can ride them in urban environments. If the going gets a little bumpy, it's certainly going to handle it. It's lightweight enough to where you can do all those sorts of things with it, and it's simple enough to keep running reliably continuously. In the press release for these bikes, Triumph was quoted as saying, "Together with class-leading capability, rider-focused tech, and category-leading quality and detail, with a high level of standard specification, long service intervals, and a comprehensive warranty, these accessible new models represent incredible value for money and bring Triumph's iconic style, quality, and performance to a whole new generation of Triumph riders." And honestly, a lot of times in these press releases, I'm like, yeah, that's just like corporate babble, but they've really managed to achieve this. Triumph has a very clear power progression ladder, and they've accomplished this in just like 5 years, which is super impressive. Granted, they've been working on these platforms like the Trident 660 and the Speed 400 for much longer than that, but the fact still remains, Triumph now has a very clear power platform that you can get on. You can start on a Speed 400, make your way to a Trident 660, or you can even branch off and get a Bonneville if you want to do the retro cruiser thing. You could then go to a Street Triple, a Speed 1200, and even a Rocket 3 if you want to get crazy. And when you want to graduate to a flagship ADV, they have the Triumph Tiger 1200 Rally Pro. I mean, they really are looking more like a full-line manufacturer, especially considering that they've got a motocross bike now too. it's super impressive. And listen, it's just a fact that motorcycling is changing across every segment. We used to have the really clean-cut, defined 300, 600, 1000cc sport bike landscape, and now you have the super nebulous middleweight category from everything from the 650 all the way to a 950 category. Ergonomics and value for money really have become the name of the game. That's why you see the not-so-super sport motorcycles like the GSX-8R, R7, RS660 selling like hotcakes. And it's why Triumph wanted a piece of the pie with the Trident 660 and Daytona 660 motorcycles. But really the entry-level category keeps creeping up in price and displacement, and I think it's so interesting that Triumph has managed to make a motorcycle that's competitively priced and has a lot of bang for buck too. Because at the end of the day, a 45 horsepower single-cylinder motorcycle that weighs almost 400 pounds really doesn't need traction control or smartphone connectivity or linked brakes or whatever other crazy stuff that they're coming up with nowadays. All you need are good fundamentals, a good chassis, comfortable ergonomics, and easy and simple enough to learn and ride on. And of course, these Triumphs are new to the market. We will see how the reliability goes over time, but honestly, these Indian-made bikes have become better and better year over year. Sure, you saw some teething issues with the first RC390s back in the mid-2010s, but nowadays, the stuff coming out of India is very impressive, and even their homegrown Royal Enfield is actually pretty good. You know, the new Himalayan 450 was a bike that I got to test and I was really impressed, and I'm sure the Gorilla 450 is just as good too. So don't discount the Indian-made bikes. They're actually pretty darn good. But it begs the question, will other motorcycle manufacturers follow suit? Are we gonna see Ducati build an actual beginner bike? I kinda doubt it. We've seen Aprilia launch their RS457, which I never thought they could do. It basically looks like an RS660 with an aluminum twin spar frame and just less power on tap. And again, it's Indian built. Will Harley-Davidson ever make a comparable beginner bike a la the Triumph Speed 400? I think if they had, it would have been a knockout hit, but we all know Harley can't make anything for less than 12 grand apparently. I think the combination of cost-conscious youngsters and people seeing that the feature-bloated beginner bike category is really getting a little bit too much means that the Triumph Speed 400 has perfectly met the moment. I'm excited to see if anybody else is going to follow suit, and I'm pretty darn excited that we still get beginner bikes that are under $5,000, because that means we're going to get more people on the road and riding motorcycles. Thanks so much for checking out today's video. I truly do appreciate it. We'll catch you in the next one. See you later. Boys, our time is up here. It's a little sad, but this video is over. However, this MT-09 SP is up for grabs on yammynoob.co, and the coolest part is if you become a member, not only is it the best way to support the show, but you get access to chat with me on Discord. So if you want the conversation to keep going, become a member on yammynoob.co in the link in the description down below. But if you want a little bit of distance between me and you think I'm a weird guy, which is completely fair, hit the link right over here. Check out this next Yammy Noob video. You will not regret it. I guarantee it. I'm sure it's top tier stuff.